Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today's video is a little bit exciting, it's a little bit fun. I enrolled into a class at Oxford. Like, yes, that Oxford. I'm currently studying a small one-off class on folklore. It's like on the scholarship of folklore, so the study of folklore study. It's very scholarly, it's a lot of fun so far. So essentially today I wanted to bring you along on a research day. I wanted to show you how I build personal curriculum, how I keep studying and keep learning even though it's been a little while since I graduated now. First of all, I need to grab breakfast, I need to finish getting ready for the day, I need to grab some tea. Hello, hi Moo, did you just wake up? Do you want to say hi? And Mabel says good morning as well. Hello, hi darling. If you watched my last video, then you will know that I'm coming out of this really busy period of working on my debut novel. This course felt quite fortuitous because the start date fell, I think, 3 or 4 days after my deadline to hand in my structural edits. So it's been really lovely taking some time to slow down, do some reading. I went to the markets and I bought some bagels. I've never bought bagels before, but these were absolutely delicious. As a frazzle-brained person, I'm always trying to slow down, take some more time, chill out a little bit. I made a nice breakfast for myself and I'm excited to spend a slow, gentle day studying folklore. So a little bit about me if you're new here or if you haven't seen my content before. Hello, my name is Christy. I am a writer and my debut novel is coming out next year in July. It's a 1920s inspired atmospheric fantasy novel about a woman who runs off to the city of Aliaster where there are demons and spirits and she wants to learn magic from this enigmatic and charming witch who ultimately has a lot of secrets. I'm sorry, my puppy is very high energy this morning and every morning. Now she's chasing her tail. Theodora's tea shop is now available to pre-order and you can add it on Goodreads and Storycraft. And anyway, I am a person who loves studying. I love research. I love going to the library. I would live there if they let me. Like, I love a scholarly article. I love writing essays, the whole thing. I absolutely adore it. And basically, I live in Adelaide. I live in a small city and my undergrad was in marketing, which I wanted an English degree. I have a whole backstory. But ultimately, I live in a place where like you are just not going to find work out of doing an English degree. So I did a marketing degree instead and I went after a marketing career and I decided that I wanted to do a master's degree in order to make up the learning that I felt that I missed out on. But when push came to shove, I was working full time. I was doing this. Definitely the sound of her having stolen a sock or potentially a shoe. It got to the point where I was working full time, I was doing this YouTube channel, I was a Japan travel writer, I was still doing freelance writing then, I was trying to write novels, and I was also studying my master's degree part-time. And I was dancing on a knife's edge of having a really bad breakdown from burnout because I wasn't sleeping because I was trying to fit it all in. I gave up the master's degree because that was the smart thing to do at the time, and I would love to re-enroll back into my master's. I was studying fantasy literature, I had so much fun, I loved it. And so I have been loosely looking at different courses, and then I went on a deep dive of Kaylin's and Kate's channels, and I'll link them both below, and I realized you could do one-off courses for the Department of Continuing Education, and I found a course on the history of folklore. I enrolled into it. Here we are. Let's head over to my desk and I can tell you a little bit more about the course and building a personal curriculum, and then eventually we're going to head off to the library and do some research, but first let's go to my desk. Welcome to my desk. So essentially what I wanted to do is set up a few of my documents. Now I'm in the very first week of this course. As I said, I haven't done the first seminar yet. So the time zone is I think like 2 p.m. UK time. It's 11:30 p.m. my time. So it's gonna be quite a late class. But again, it was better than me getting like one of the 2 a.m. classes, which is one of the reasons I picked the history of folklore. I've also never done a history topic before. I've done mythology, I've done anthropology, so many things from statistics to macroeconomics to all the many things I did in my degree. I wanted to come in here and set up my documents. So the main thing I always have is a master doc for the entire course. So this is all the coursework and not the extra reading. So I have like week 1, here's all my notes. Week 2, here's all my notes. One master document, which is like a Word doc or a Google doc and just having everything that I can search for. And then want a second document, which is just going to be for like my additional readings. And then I want to set up the rest of my personal curriculum. So I am very much here for self-directed learning and I love that people are getting a little bit more into it recently. So when it comes to building a personal curriculum, it can be really, really overwhelming to know where to start and what to do. First of all, I think it's really important to find a place to put all of your learning. So there's a few online tools you can use like Millernote and Notion, but today I'm just going to be using my notebook and a Word document. First of all, I'm going to list out all the topics I'm interested in. These are broad strokes, areas, and concepts. Right now I'm really interested in the history of folklore, Christina Rossetti, Goblin Market, romantic influences, and the Victorian era. That one is just that's one item. The Age of Enlightenment, pirates, deep sea creatures, and animism in the work of Hayao Miyazaki. This one I've been on for many years. I think I've been researching this topic for like 3 years. I have a video essay that I will one day make. When you're interested in independent learning, it can be quite overwhelming to know where to start. And so for me, when I'm learning a new topic, I like to begin with watching a YouTube video or maybe even looking up that topic's Wikipedia page. I really like having a very simple, clear overview and then diving in from there. So when I started researching Christina Rossetti, it was a history of literature podcast. And I also like the Britannica website for looking up concepts like the circus or folklore or like broad strokes topics. If you really are brand new to this idea of self-study, if you maybe haven't done research at a university level before, I think it's also really good to remember those basic comprehension questions of who, what, where, why, and when. I think I learnt this when I was in year 5 maybe, but it is a really good touch point for knowing how to begin your research. So when we talk about folklore, for example, who are the major folklorists? What is folklore as opposed to myth or legend? Where am I interested in looking? The British Isles, Indigenous folklore, African folklore, there are so many different kinds of folklore all around the world. When did folklore become significant, or when in history do I particularly want to focus on? And also remembering the why of it all, like why are you interested in researching this topic and what do you hope to gain? So for me, I'm always really interested in people. I'm interested from a human perspective. I want to understand how people's minds work and how the world worked back in this time period or that time period. So I've gotten good at knowing exactly what it is I want to find out when I'm doing this kind of research. And then once you have this base of information and interrogation, you can start building the actual sources in your curriculum. The books, the articles, the documentaries, etc. I think it's a great choice to start with a small handful so you don't overwhelm yourself and dictate further research based on what you learn or are intrigued by from those first few sources. And I think what's also really important when you're doing your personal research is asking who is it that you're reading, like the person who wrote the article, made the YouTube video, whatever it is. Who are they? What is their expertise? Do they have the authority to be speaking on this subject? Are they a scholar? Are they a student? Are they just some random person with access to ChatGPT? So I think it's really, really important when you're doing independent study, if you're building a personal curriculum for yourself, to start with these questions, to understand a kind of idea of what you want to research, to really interrogate that, and then go into building out your personal curriculum. So for me, I've written down all of these questions and I'm going to go open a Word doc, and for each specific topic I like to just have one Word doc. For every source I write down what the book is, what the website is, whatever it is, and then I just dot point. I just write out every single thing that I find interesting that I might want to go back to one day. And the reason why I put everything into a single Word doc is that I want to be able to search it later. So I did this with my research doc on the 1920s when I was researching Theodora's tea shop, and I also did it with my circus and arts history research for Project Spiegel Tent, which I'm currently working on. Say, for example, you're an aspiring writer and you're really, really interested in exactly what to read. You just want a curriculum to be given to you. I have already made that video. So I have a big video here where I basically laid out every author, every book I think you should read. I've already made a curriculum video, so please feel free to go ahead and check that out. In the process of doing that, Mabel has stolen my slipper. Thank you very much, Miss Mabel. These are my Mippers, my Mabel themed slippers. You're staying home. She's off with the slipper again. Anyway, I need to pack my bag and head off to the library. I'm going to be going to my old university library. If you've watched my videos before, you know this library. It's the Barsmith Library. It's so pretty. So I went for a nice walk over to the library through the birds and the blossoms and the crows cawing. It was really lovely. And I went to the Barsmith Library at Adelaide University. Now, I will never get over how beautiful this space is. It's absolutely amazing to me that this This is a public library. Anyone can come and sit here. It's such a beautiful and special place, and I love working here. I'm kicking off my research for today by opening up a book that was on my list of suggested readings. It's available from the Internet Archive, and so this is essentially a collection of different essays on folklore. One of the things that's been surprising to me from this course so far, and I don't know if I'm about to reveal something about my education to date, is how open-ended the recommended readings are. I don't know what you guys' experience of university was, if you happen to go, but normally for university, in my experience for undergrad and for postgrad, excluding my research topics, there would generally each week be a list of essays or a particular chapter to read. Generally there was always between 50 and 70 pages to read per course, but there was a very definitive list of what to read, and like this was the required reading, and sometimes they gave you like some bonus stuff that you could read if you wanted to, but it wasn't really expected. Now I don't know if it's because this course is a little bit more informal, but when I got to the recommended readings for like week 1, there was just this massive list of different books and different articles, and it was so much more than one human person could read in a week. And so I figured that because they've suggested that this is a 10-hour a week course, that you just kind of pick and choose at your leisure and you sort of just decide what you want to research. Is that normal? Is it normal to just have such an open-ended scope of what you can read and you're just supposed to choose? Because I'm normally used to being told exactly what to do. And so for me, immediately I looked at that list and I was like, maybe I could read all of those. I'm going to try and get as much out of this course as I can, but I've also developed the skill of being able to look through textbooks and discern exactly what it is I need and what it is I find interesting. Honestly, my best recommendation is chase the thing you find fun, chase the thing you find interesting, because I've always found that that's the thing that sticks in my brain. Like there's no point forcing yourself through reading if stuff is like really just dull and it's really not engaging you, because that stuff is just going to slip straight out your brain and then it's not going to be useful at all and there's no point in you doing it. And it's probably going to be the best method for researching for this course, because it does say do 10 hours a week, but I don't know how much I should do, and also I don't have boundless time at my disposal because I have a lot of work to do for my job and for novel writing and all the stuff that I do. I finished off at the library. I didn't bother to record this part because I just shoved my camera back in my bag and I was like, I'm tired, I can't be bothered getting it back out. But I went and had a look for that folklore book that you guys saw me looking up on my phone, which is essentially like folklore and fairy tales in the Victorian period in England. I want to keep researching, and so this week I've got this particular book on fairy tales and the Victorian period, but next week I'll look up a different book. Again, I just want to read as broadly as possible, see what I can find, see what I find interesting, and then whatever it is I find interesting, go running in that direction. So we've had a bit of a time skip. I came home, got lunch, went back to studying. Here we are. It's a very, very gloomy day, so it looks really late, but it's not. It's still the afternoon. I am happy though, because the winter is holding on just a little bit. Like I love spring, but I love the gloomy, cozy weather as well. So I'm very, very happy. Today has been absolutely wonderful. Like studying and doing this kind of stuff is just the most joyful, self-indulgent, like in the best possible way. Like I adore studying. As I've said many times in this video, I do just love the act of studying. I also do consider it fairly vital to my career as an author. Like I want to be an expert in fantasy, folklore, all of these things in speculative literature. I want to keep learning forever and ever. Like that's a commitment I want to have for my whole life. And so even if it's not formal study, I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly trying to pick up non-fiction books. I absolutely cherish my alumni library card for the University of Adelaide because I borrow books from there all the time. I use the library search all the time. I have access to JSTOR. I always have 4 or 5 research areas that I'm interested in at one time or another, and they always find their way into my work in some kind of way. Like there's always little bits and pieces that inform the world building, and I just am so like a magpie where I like to go after the shiny things that I find interesting and do deep dives. So basically I've just been studying this whole afternoon. I still have a little bit that I want to do. Like I feel like my attention is starting to wane just a little bit because obviously reading academic sources, these kinds of older books, does take just a little bit extra effort. I will say just generally on the course, I'm having so much fun. It is very, very it's very scholarly, and I say that in a way of like I'm used to this type of study because I've done like literary theory at a postgraduate level. Like literary theory was the most for want of a better phrase, up itself thing I have ever studied, because it was just the really, really technical challenging like literary theory things. I don't even know how to like properly explain it without like you actually knowing what literary theory is. In here we've got formalism and structuralism and Marxist theory and postmodernism and semiotics and all of this stuff. It's really, really advanced, and you only really touch it if you're at a postgrad level. This course, however, is at an undergraduate level. I feel like if you're just interested in fairy tales and folklore generally, this definitely wouldn't be for you, because it's the study of folklore, right? Like it's more focused from a history perspective on the way that these like pieces of information were collected. And I've already learned so much about it. Like I didn't actually realize that folklore just meant popular stories. Like that's the etymology of the word, and the word folklore has only been around since the 1800s, and so already I'm just like picking up so many things and keeping them, and I'm having a lot of fun. But I will just say, if you watch this video and you get a little bit inspired to check out this course, don't just go after it if you actually want to study the content of fairy tales, because I've done those courses before. I did a course on fairy tales and folklore in my postgrad, and then in my undergrad I also did mythology, so I already have that basis, and so like it's easier for me to go into, again, the study of folklore. I'm going to buckle back down, do a little bit more study, and then I'll come back to you in a minute. Hello, it is now 5, I was gonna say it's 5 something p.m. and then my brain just stopped working. It's 5:34 p.m. and I am all done today with all of my research. So I managed to get through all of my lectures, I looked up a bunch of research, I did my articles, I did my book chapters, all that stuff. This course is supposed to have about 10 hours of work you're supposed to do outside of the course, which is like a little bit intimidating because I have the tendency to always bite off more than I can chew, but I'm trying to get a bit of a better work-life balance going on. But that being said, I also have a lot of YouTube videos that I'm really excited to make for the rest of this year, so we'll just see how we go. Now that I've submitted the structural edits for Theodora's Tea Shop, I do have a little bit more time. And honestly, as I said earlier, on the one hand, this feels like the most beautiful fun, like just like expanding my brain and examining topics that I'm really interested in for not really any reason other than the fact that I'm interested in them. But also on the other hand, I do think that learning and studying and doing my best to become an expert in my field is really, really important to me as a writer. And the thing is that you can do that exact same thing without necessarily having to apply to an Oxford course. Like, this course wasn't cheap to do, but it was like half the price of what I actually spent in my postgrad. Way cheaper to do this one-off course than it was to do any single one of my courses for my postgrad. So I do find that actually quite funny, but you do not have to sign up to an Oxford class, obviously. Like, there are so many resources available for free. There are libraries, there are YouTube videos, but it's been a really, really lovely day. And if I can share with you just a moment of vulnerability, I have always been so fascinated by Oxford and Cambridge. I know it's such a beautiful, like, elite image, and I love dark academia, I love the secret history, like I love this vibe so much. And when I was in university, like I have told this story before, but I had such a utilitarian experience of university where I was at my retail job earning minimum wage far more than I was in the library. So I actually use the Bath Smith Library so much more now that I'm not a student, because when I was a student I didn't even have time to study there because I was too busy working. And this university exchange popped up when I was in undergrad, and it was an exchange to, I don't think it was Oxford, I'm pretty sure it was Cambridge, and it was for the English department, and I think it was for like the Shakespeare course to go to Cambridge, and I could have applied for it and I couldn't afford it at the time. Like, I just flat out could not afford it. Like, I was very much in a situation in my life where, basically, not to give you the whole spiel, but like I was walking to uni with holes in my shoes. I was getting up early to go to the library to scan the textbooks because I could not afford to buy them, and I just, like, takeaway coffee was very much a status symbol to me. And I went to university and I started out wanting to do English and anthropology, and I realized very, very quickly that those things would not get me a job, and I was at uni to get a job, and I knew I would come out with debt, and I'm still paying off that debt. Like, I'm 29 years old, I'm still paying off my student debt. And so this class, this little Oxford class that I'm doing at nighttime, that like it's not that big of a deal, like anyone can apply for this type of class. There's just something really fun and exciting to me about getting to do this class, and I feel like that little part of me that could not afford to do the exchange to Cambridge when I was in university, there's something like a little bit healing about getting to do this class. So anyway, I'm really enjoying it. I cannot wait to do my assignment. There's only one 500-word assignment which is formative, and then there's a 1500-word assignment which is summative, and I'm so excited and so intimidated by it. And anyway, it's just a great opportunity for growth and for learning, and I'm gonna go off and we're gonna go make dinner and we're gonna go for a walk with Miss Mabel, who you can't see, but she's just next to me. And that's all I had to say for today. Thank you guys so incredibly much for watching this video, and also I wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone over on Patreon for supporting my channel, because without the beautiful, lovely people on Patreon, I wouldn't be able to make these videos. Over on Patreon, we have a whole bunch of bonus content, a book club, our Discord server, I post writing updates over there, so many lovely things over on Patreon. So if you want to check it out, there's a link in the description down below. Please feel free to check out my debut novel, Theodora's Tea Shop. Pre-orders are available now, and if you can't pre-order it, please feel free to add it on Goodreads or Storygraph. Take care everyone, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.